What is a demo mill? We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But first, welcome to Thursday and welcome to the daily voiceover huddle, where we try to just give you a little bit of a piece of information that's going to help you in your voiceover business. My name is Mike Hathcote, and I'm a full time voice actor and voiceover career coach and author of the book, The Voiceover Blueprint. If you want to check it out, for less than $10 in the link below, you'll get the digital download as well as the audiobook and 4 free gifts. And you might just learn a thing or three. So check that out. Also, chime in on the chat. We're going to do some shout outs here in a few minutes, and just tell me where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and all that good stuff. All right. What is a demo mill and why should you avoid them? Well, a demo mill is basically one of these companies that promises the world when you come to their weekend seminar on voiceover, and then they tell you, come to our seminar and learn about voiceover. And at the end of the seminar, you'll record a demo and you'll make millions in voiceover. And, they just send you out into the world with no direction and a mediocre at best demo. That is a demo mill. And you should avoid those like the plague. And here's why. They give you almost no support, little to no support after the demo is produced. And you're most likely not ready to record a demo, especially if you're brand new, and you're, coming in off the street for this weekend seminar, and you're most likely not ready to record a demo yet. You need to be demo ready so that when you record the demo, you can actually deliver what's on that demo time after time after time after you've gotten the demo, when you get actually hired based on the strength of that demo, assuming that it's a good demo, which it isn't always. Um, you need to have performance skills. You need to be able to, emote and act and sound like you're not reading, which a lot of people, when they first get into this, they think that that's what voiceover is just reading out loud. You would be amazed at the amount of people who I sit down with in a coaching session, and they're pretty new to this, and you give them a script and they just start reading it. And that is not voiceover. Voiceover is being able to read a script and sound like you're not reading a script. So there's a lot that goes into training and coaching for that. I could literally bring anyone off the street. I could just go out there and bring somebody off the street, put them in a studio and give them a bunch of line reads over and over, say it like this, repeat after me. And we could probably get a decent demo done. But that is not going to get them work beyond that demo. You need to be able to bring the goods every single time based on the strength of that demo over and over and over again without someone being able to coach you while you're recording those jobs. But they don't tell you that. They just bring you in and go, "Okay, repeat after me," and hand you a demo, send you on your way. That is a demo mill. And by the way, they charge a lot for that. Usually it's like in the $5,000 range, to get a quick little seminar and then walk away with a demo. Um, you have to be able to reproduce that same skill set, which a lot of people just don't have when they first start, over and over and over again. So when you're looking for a training program, look for one that preps you for your demo first and then supports you after the fact and will help you find the work based on that demo. So you've got a bunch of pre-work to do. And there's a lot of people who just joined the blueprint who just, day one, they're like, all right, I'm ready to do my demo. And they barely even have a studio set up yet. Remember, these days, most people in voiceover record in their own home studio, not in an actual recording studio. So you need to have a good quality studio set up first so that when you record your demo, it sounds good. not only, performance-wise, but also sonically, the sound quality. Then you need support after the fact for being able to go out and actually get the work once you've gotten your demo done. So it's not just a weekend thing. They can promise the moon on these weekend seminars and send you on your way, but it's very likely not a reality. So that's what a demo is, or a demo mill is, and you should avoid them like the plague. Stay away. Okay, let's see what's happening, everybody. Jim Ripper from Beaufort, South Carolina is the first one in today. Ding, ding, ding for you. And there's Ron from Grand Haven, Michigan, and Wayne from Port Orchard, Washington. And good morning, Mark from Montreal. And there's Sean from Longview. Hey, hey to you. And Nephi from Knoxville, Tennessee. Good to see you here, Nephi. There's JJ from Minnesota. And Becky from Albion, Michigan. Going to be hooking up with Becky next week. Becky's going to be in town, and my wife and I and her husband are going to go out and do get a little bite to eat or something. So looking forward to that. There's Dennis from Pasadena, California, and Kirk from Greenville, South Carolina. And good morning to Andrew from Latvia. And there's Maria from Rhode Island. Good afternoon to you on the right coast. David says hello from Hamilton, Ontario, and hello to you, David. There's Edward checking in from Jacksonville, Florida. And there's Denise from Long Island. Good to see you, Denise. Happy and Joyful says, hello from sunny Florida. There's so much to be learned on your channel. I look forward to learning something every time. Thank you. My pleasure. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And there's Callie from Pasco, Washington. Good morning. And there's old Tim McCaffrey from Altoona. And Doug McGraw from Greensboro, North Carolina. Sorry. There's Charlie from Sparta, Wisconsin. And Dennis from Illinois. Good afternoon, Dennis. No, I guess it's still morning there. See, I have to do the quick geography lesson in my head before I say that. There's Nancy in Yankton, South Dakota. There's Theo from the kitchen table in lovely Palos Hills, Illinois. See, if they want it spelled or they want it said a certain way, they should spell it a certain way. You know what I'm saying? For instance, yesterday, I do a bunch of radio tags for the Michigan Department of Corrections. And I recorded these spots a long time ago, and then they have the date changes. And so they have these events that change date all the time. So I'm recording these additional tags for these spots. And apparently there's a place called Charlotte, Michigan, like Charlotte. Is it North Carolina or South? Charlotte, North Carolina. And apparently they don't pronounce it as Charlotte. They pronounce it as Charlotte or something like that. Charlotte. And so I had to re-record. I recorded it just saying Charlotte. But then they sent it back and said, nope, apparently in Michigan, they say it's Charlotte or Charlotte. And so I had to re-record those. Anyway. Tangent. Jim Ripper says, this sounds like what I went through with a voiceover company in upstate New York. They coached me and provided me with a professional demo, but I could not get any support from them after that. Yep. That is the telltale sign of a demo mill. They promise the world and they say, come in and learn over the weekend. And then Sunday you record your demo and they send it to you and say, good luck. Wayne says, 15 years ago, I went to this type of function here in Seattle. They said I was good and wanted me to come to New York to be taught and coached. Didn't buy into it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if they were wanting you to come to New York. It was probably a big upsell to come to New York. But yeah, it seems like a lot of those kinds of things come out of New York for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about New York, but I've heard of several different demo mills who are based in New York, and they take a lot of people's money. All they care about, they don't care about any kind of talent or willing to learn or anything. If your credit card swipes, that's all that matters. Um, so yeah. Theo says English pronunciations and spelling. Yeah, they tend not to match up a lot. Yep, it's true. There's Voices by Sarah here to represent Kentucky. Hey, y'all. Callie says, so important to have a good amount of performance training before recording a demo and marketing yourself. Amen to that, sister. 100%. You got to have the skills to pay the bills before you go out and actually record your demo. And then always keep, a demo is not forever either, because as your skills improve, you need to maybe re-record your demo from time to time to represent your current skill set instead of just setting it and forgetting it. Becky says, I live quite close to Charlotte or Charlotte. Leave it to Michigan to be unique. There's Joy from Southfield, Michigan. Good morning to you. Well, Joy, if you're in Michigan, how do you say Charlotte? Do you say Charlotte or Charlotte? There's Jason from Kearney, Nebraska. There's another one, Kearney versus Kearney. It's spelled Kearney, but they say Kearney. But I've learned that from Jason. He's beat that into my head. Random Guy on TV says, in your experience of teaching, how do foreign voice VO actors pass in the world of voice acting? It's tricky when I put a lot of foreign country on my profile and everyone is from the US. How do clients react? Well, if you have an accent, chances of you completely losing that accent, especially if it's, English is not your first language, it's going to be an issue. Um, not that you can't do it. I mean, you can definitely market to the areas where maybe, let's say you've got I don't know, a South African accent. I don't know. And you can still market to places who want an English, well, maybe I should change that because they speak English in South Africa. Let's say you've got I don't know, a Spanish accent but you can speak English very well. You can market to the places in that country that want an English speaking talent, but your accent will not, inhibit you at all. In fact, go back and watch the video that I did. Gosh, it's been a while. It's been a couple of months now, maybe even 3 or 4 months on accents. Just scroll back in the list. We did a whole day on accents or a whole topic on accents. Go back and watch that. There's a whole lot of information in that one on how to market yourself if you have a certain accent or if you want to try to do accents, which I encourage you to not do that. If you're an American talent, but you can do a British accent or whatever, don't market yourself as someone who can do a British accent even though you're American, because if somebody wants an authentic British accent, they're gonna go hire a Brit. They're gonna hire a native speaker because they don't have to worry about it not sounding authentic. So, just because you can do accents at parties and get laughs doesn't mean that you can do it for a 20,000 word audiobook. So keep that in mind, but go back and check that one on accents. Callie says, amen to not setting it and forgetting it. And that goes for your website too, by the way. A lot of people, they put their website up and then they just never look at it again. Websites like to be refreshed. Google and Bing and all the search engines like fresh new content. So make sure you're not just, putting your website up and never looking at it again. Keep it fresh, update a demo here and there or your samples or whatever. The search engines love that. Neven, I'm going to guess is how you pronounce that. How does one become a digital nomad and live internationally while still doing American voiceover? Does Fiverr and similar apps work overseas for expat Americans? I believe they do. I mean, I know that there are a bajillion overseas voice seekers on Fiverr and some of those other platforms, but you could totally do that. Just make sure that you've got a space that's replicatable if it's a temporary space that you can set up wherever you happen to be. I know that's possible, but just make sure that when you're marketing, you can still market worldwide. So the world is your oyster, no matter where you want to market and no matter where you want to live. But just make sure that your setup is consistent no matter where you are. If you're always in a different place and always having to set up a different kind of booth, the consistency is not going to be there on your recordings. But but it's totally doable. I know people who do that, or who at least maybe they summer here and winter here, and they, you know, bounce back and forth, and they can totally do that. So it's totally possible. Wayne says, I had to read the word Kearney in a book I was recording. If it hadn't been for Jason on this huddle, I would have read it wrong and needed a do-over. Yeah. Yeah. And luckily, most clients will give you the heads up. If there's a certain pronunciation that you need to pay attention to, they'll tell you that in their notes. I do a lot of medical reads, and so I get a lot of pronunciation guidelines with those medical reads on pharmaceutical names and stuff like that. And they'll either give you the phonetic spelling, or they'll send you a link to a YouTube video or something on how it's said. So most clients will do that. But every now and then you run across a pronunciation situation like Kearney, Nebraska, or Charlotte, Michigan, and stuff like that, where you have to tweak it, but you're not sure. There's Eddie. Good morning from San Antonio, Texas. And there's John McCarthy from Denver. Good morning to you. And there's Tracy from Rochester, Minnesota. And Naveen says, thanks. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name okay, Naveen, or Nevin, Neven. All right. What else do we have, guys? I've got a lot of work to do today, and I've got a doctor's appointment this afternoon to find out how to repair my ruptured tendon in my right arm, my right elbow. And it was not from skateboarding, I will have you know. It was from doing too much heavy lifting around the house a few months back. So thought it was just tennis elbow, so I've been resting it, but it has just not gotten any better. So it looks like I'm gonna have to go under the knife again. So we'll see about that today. All right, I'm gonna bounce, guys. Great talking to you this morning. Glad you're here. I will see you tomorrow for Q&A Friday. I always blank when that comes up. Q&A Friday is tomorrow, and okay. Nevin says like 7. Perfect. That's a good way to remember that. Nevin like 7. Okay, I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bring your questions for Q&A Friday. See you then.